Hi, this is a second video on an alternative way to make your bias binding. So if your square is large enough, you will be able to do a special two seam only bias binding from a square to make life a little bit easier. It is a little more complicated to set up, so I'm going to walk you through it. So here we have, if you watched the first video, I had a 22-inch square. I cut it along the 45. I re-seamed it together, and my pattern calls for 2.5-inch strips. I went ahead and used a chalk pencil and marked 2.5-inch strips. Now on the very end here, I have a really tiny one, a sliver of leftover fabric. So I'm going to start at that point. So what we're trying to do is match this edge with this edge so that it will be continuous. So in order to do that, we have to offset by one line. So this is a little awkward to set up, but I put a pin at the bottom of my first whole strip, and I put a pin at the top of the first whole strip on the other edge. I now am going to put those pins close together. And as you can see, this doesn't really want to lay flat because of the bias. So I'm going to remove one of those pins now that I've matched them, and I am going to approximate a 1/4 inch down from the straight edge right through the line that I have drawn. And then I'm going to make sure that my pin comes out on the top of this strip on the line a 1/4 inch from the edge. And I'm going to go ahead and slip that pin in there. Now I'm going to repeat that procedure with every single one of these lines. Remember, I'm not matching the line up at the edge. I'm going in on the line a 1/4 inch down from the edge and making sure it comes through my other line a 1/4 inch down from the edge. So generally, if you are really good at making your line straight and lining this up, it's not too bad. So a 1/4 inch through, and I'm right on the line. I'm going to go ahead and pin that one. You just keep going down this whole strip. Now, it does not want to lay straight, but that's part of the trick of this. So remember, 1/4 inch down from the straight edge, through your line, make sure it's coming out your line on the other side, put the pin in, 1/4 inch down from the edge, through my draw line, make sure it's going through, that one's a little off, make sure it comes out the line on the other side, secure the pin, and then this is going to be a little bit strange because we offset here, we're going to have what looks like one more strip hanging off, but it doesn't really. So I don't have a line down here because all I have is an edge, but I have a line on this side. So what I want to do is make sure a 1/4 inch down from the edge, you can see when I put the pin through, it's right on the edge of my fabric, which is perfect. But I'm going to move it in a little bit and put that pin in just to hold my edges together while I sew it. Now, as I told you, it doesn't lay real flat, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to start seaming right here where my first pin is and do a 1/4 inch seam all the way down. Hold on a second, I'll be right back. If you look at this, you can see the pin at approximately 1/4 inch down from the edge going through the line. And when I flip over on this edge, you can see how the pin came out right on the line at that 1/4 inch. Hi, I'm back from the sewing machine. You can see that my sample lays a lot flatter now that I've done that seam. And you can see here on one side, I have an offset strip, and on this other side, I have one as well. So it's really quite simple, is I'm going to take a pair of scissors and starting right here at this offset, I am literally going to just cut along my marked chalk line. And I will just keep rotating my fabric and cutting, and you will see the magic happen. I'm now approaching the very first seam that I have made right after I cut the square in half and made it a trapezoid, and pretty quickly I make it over to my second seam. So I will just continue. Right, you can see that I'm getting almost to the end here. To my right, I have one whole strip and then that weird little leftover piece. So as I'm getting here to my last, or where it joins, I'm going to essentially be just trimming off that weird little leftover part of the strip. And you may have this. My little strip got caught just a little bit in that first seam. Just gonna trim it off there. So there's my goofy little piece of strip. And you can see, without having to do a whole bunch of little seams, that I have my one long piece just by doing the two seams. You will wanna go back now and press these seams flat. These were the second seam that weren't easy to press when it was a tube. So there you go. There's a modification that you can do so that you only have two seams to make your continuous binding from a square. Have a good day.